I'd like to call this June 5th council work session to order. Herbie, what do you got?
Just one thing. Last week we had a dryer fire. An elderly woman had to be helped from her house. Caused a lot of smoke in the house. The fire itself was confined to the dryer, but it's a good reminder for everyone that has a dryer is to make sure you keep your lint traps and your ductwork clean to reduce the possibility of having a fire. That's it.
Was there a gas leak or something on Beaver? Oh, not Beaver, Garden Street? Something happened? What was that?
There was an oil tank that leaked about 2 gallons of oil in a vacant house. The person next door called in for the odor.
Oh, they smelled it?
Yeah, and so the code enforcement came out. John Miller was on top of getting that correct.
Okay. Good.
Any questions for Herbie? Chief, what do you got?
That we're still working the fatal hit and run from a week ago Friday. We've canvassed the entire Bucks County area, all the Nissan dealers. We're still looking for a Nissan Quest minivan 2004 to 2009. It's up on our Crime Watch page. We're working with everybody we can, the feds, the states, trying to even easy pass every angle we can. We're still hoping that somebody, looks in somebody's backyard and sees their neighbor, something that looks out of place, and we're really hoping for a phone call on that.
Anybody got anything for the chief?
And I have a couple things, but there are going to be things I want to discuss with you after. So
Absolutely.
All right, before we get into public comment, we were in executive session discussing some personnel issues, some litigation issues, and I think that's it, right? Did we cover everything? In the public, anybody got anything they want to comment on? Mr. Pezza?
Bill Pezza, Pond Street. First of all, rumor is it your birthday today? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I would sing, but you wouldn't want to hear it, so I think the things going on around town that you're seeing are a good enough birthday gift, so wish you
Yes, it
good
is.
health and many more.
Been a great month.
I want to make just a couple of quick announcements for the public out there to take advantage of. The film crew will be back from Deluxe this week. They're going to arrive on Friday. Some are already here, but they're going to arrive Friday, and they're going to be filming intensely. And there are things for the public. Everyone works so hard to win this contest, and I know I've said it a few times, but I want to drive it home now that we're close. On Saturday night, June 10th, at 6:30, they're going to film what they call the Big Shoot. They want a big crowd there if possible. Everyone who wants to enjoy it can come, and they're going to have a drone, and they're going to zero in on the crowd, and they're going to zoom in on Hershevek and Amanda Brinkman. So it's a good chance. You want to have your moment in the sun and get in a movie. That shot will definitely make the editor's cut. It'll be in the movie. It'll be in the first and last episode. So tell your friends, tell your constituents, anyone who helped us, helped work to make it happen. Everyone's welcome, and bring the kids. It's going to be a nice night. We also, Craig Whitaker has also arranged entertainment, some street entertainment that night. We're going to ask that we close the 100 block of Mill Street for the shoot, and the chief and the manager are aware of that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Then the next night, on June 11th at 6 o'clock, we're going to shoot the final ceremony, where the Deluxe people will be there. They're going to be unveiling and explaining the gifts they've made to the town. We're going to be thanking them and saying goodbye to them. We've developed some real friendships, and it's a chance to say goodbye. And they'll be back next year for a return visit, but it's a nice thing. So everyone worked hard. These are the two big fun things that everybody should participate in, and we want to make sure that everyone knows they are welcome to come. All right? The third thing is on Monday from 8:30 to noon at the Bristol Riverside Theater. They're having that seminar we've discussed. They're having a business seminar. They're going to have 4 different speakers speaking about a half hour each with some breaks in between, and it's free, and it's a valuable opportunity for new business owners, existing business owners, people just thinking about opening a business. Come out and learn something and make yourself more effective as a business leader, and that's a nice thing. We had a goal of filling the theater, and I just got an email from one of the Deluxe people that says we're approaching 200. So that would fill the downstairs, and that's good. I don't know where they're going to come from, but it's great. Also, last thing, I want to thank the borough crew. Everyone from the borough has been tremendous in cooperating with Deluxe. Amanda's here, she can tell you that the requests from them to us to do some engineering things that I guess are still a secret, I don't know. They're going to be installing the poles. You guys have answered every request we've had, and that's what's going to help make it successful. We wanted to have that closing ceremony on the pier, because it's really cool. But the fencing isn't all up yet, and we were going to put up some temporary fencing, but thought that probably isn't advisable safety-wise. So we're going to have it in the plaza instead. But with the backdrop of the docks, it's going to be really nice. It's going to be a wonderful way to showcase Bristol Borough in a national 4-hour video. So thanks for everything, and encourage your constituents.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public want to speak on anything? Okay, that ends public participation. It's only one person here tonight. Amanda's here because I want to talk about the docks a little bit. The docks were supposed to be completed twice so far. We gave them an you go to the podium if you want. We gave them a 45-day extension based on when council originally elected to widen the pier.
Right, we gave them, it was a 57 calendar day extension.
Then, we've been dealing with a ton of rain this year.
Yeah.
So it's every time they try to do something, there's rain that delays the project some more. So we were on the phone most of the day off and on today, and we've been discussing going back and forth that we want to give them a deadline. We want these docks open before 4th of July. So Amanda is doing everything they can to push this group to get it done. And I spoke to council in executive session this evening about some other things that we're thinking about doing. We just want to get Simpson and Brown to finish the project and move on.
Right.
So
yeah.
I don't know how successful. Last time we spoke was late this afternoon. If anything has changed since then.
Yeah, so we're real close to being done. Simpson and Brown's almost finished up. There's some utility work that still needs to be completed, along with some of the railing. Not all the railings completed yet either, but just speaking with Simpson and Brown and with their electrician they have as a subcontractor, it does sound like they were pretty on board with being complete with all the work within 2.5 weeks. So I think they're right in our time frame, and we can definitely be, open for 4th of July weekend, possibly before that if we needed it. So, they're willing to work with us, and, they're looking to finish the project and get out of here as well.
That bar just cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I formed a committee and we met on signage and different things. There's no way we're going to be able to come up with everything that we need in the beginning. So we're going to try to do basic, safety issue stuff, no swimming, no diving, no skateboards, no one permitted on the lower docks unless you're entering or exiting a boat. We don't want kids down there playing. You must be a certain age or accompanied by an adult to go on the lower docks where the boats pull in because of safety. There's no rails and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts to try to get this done. I'm not happy with the one issue with the railing because we raised all the railings to a higher height for kids, God forbid. But there's a section that does drop down for ADA compliance because somebody in a wheelchair has to be able to fish over the pier.
Right, it was part of the grant requirement
Right.
that the borough received.
And the other concern we had is that if you look at spacing on any railing on your home, it can't exceed 4 inches or 3.5 inches. Well, there's a space on the bottom of that comes up so a guy with a wheelchair or a girl can get their feet under it. My concern was, God forbid, a small kid or somebody rolls underneath of that. But this been things we've been going back and forth on that we really don't have a say in because you have to comply with ADA regulations. So our goal right now is to get the docks done, let's get them open, and like I said, there's going to be issues we see, there's something going on, well, we need to correct this, how do we correct it? There's going to be a camera down there, there's going to be emergency phones down there, there's going to be a life ring to throw out, God forbid, there's going to, we thought of almost everything, but there's always something you don't think of. So we're trying our best to move this along at a rapid pace and get it open. So just to bring council up to date, if anybody has any questions on this, Tony?
Does the extension, does it allow us to assess any penalties if they go beyond it, or it doesn't, we're not allowed to? Can we assess any penalties if they go beyond the extension?
We are trying to work with Simpson and Brown. I mean, we understand there's a host of issues and, things that they ran into on the project, weather-related, RP or extension, things like that, what have you. But, we are trying to, work pretty closely with them and make sure that there's really no charges on either end at the end of the project, so.
Just one other question. The visible pylons that are for the floating docks, where they go up and down, are they going to be cut down at some point? Or they're going to remain at the height they are
On
now?
the floating dock, that's the height that they'll stay because of the change in the tide. They need to stay
So
at
they're going to stay at that height?
At that height, yeah. So there will be caps that get put on the top of them, cone shaped to prevent birds from landing on them, but.
Is there any way, when you look at it, when you're down there, and we had the high tide and everything, there's probably, I'm just looking, it looks like it's another 10 feet above, that they would never go that high. When you're down there and you look at that, it's just hard to me anyway, it's just hard sometimes to look past that. You see these big, I don't know if we can cut them down, if that's, I know they allow them to go up and down, but I mean, they're so much higher than.
Yeah. And yeah, there is a portion of that goes into it, and I can look into the heights actually, but, that is typical dock design, again, just, going with the tides and what the potential tides could be also.
Well, I agree. I think they're putting caps on top of them. Maybe it's, if they could be cut for anything that could come off. Again, we don't want to hold the project up, but if it can, maybe that's something we could go back
Right.
and look at, or they could have a welder there to burn them off or something, but just
we
see
can
what,
check into it.
maybe we can get something before Monday in case it's a change order.
Mm-hmm.
And, if we have to vote on something,
Okay.
but we don't want to hold this project up anymore.
I would suggest we follow whatever Hudson said they
Have to go
should
back to
be.
Hudson.
Because if we go even a foot and something happens, it's gonna be.
No, I'm saying if they say,
But I would almost imagine, the same way, they look really high. Once we get used to seeing them, they'll disappear. It's like when somebody paints their house a different color and it looks so different. But I would just be worried about our liability on that.
Yeah, anything we did take action on would have to come from the design engineer Hudson, but we can certainly ask the question.
My other thoughts were, where the handicap section where the rail is different, can we make that for handicap only?
that's what it's for.
But can we really designate it so nobody else's kids wouldn't be playing there?
And that's fine. The problem is, it's straight at the end of the pier.
Right.
And you have the two railings, and then it drops down to, I think, 30-some inches.
Yeah, it drops down to about 30 inches high.
Now, we're trying to think about, can we put something on the bottom and on the top? I said, let them fabricate it, and then
Right.
we could go out there and
You
look
could always
at
do
it.
something to close it off, and then, they would have a phone number to contact somebody to open up.
To release it or
access
whatever.
to the ADA fishing area, maybe something like that.
Because we certainly want the people in wheelchairs to be able to do whatever they want down there, of course.
Right, but our concern is, exactly, but we want to make sure that kids are safe too.
Absolutely.
So we need to see it. Maybe it's not going to be an issue down the road. Any other questions for Amanda? Thank you, dear. All right, Betty, what do you have? We're going to start with you.
All right, I have a few things, and I'll make it quick. First Fridays, I don't know if anybody here, I hope everybody here had an opportunity to go down. This was the second one this past Friday. It was huge. I guess the talk's out there, everybody wants to come and see what's going on in Bristol. And when I walked down there, that whole street was packed. The parking lot on CVM's parking lot, Otter Street parking lot, all over Bath Street, no parking. You couldn't find a parking spot, so Congrats to the people that are doing the First Fridays. I think it's a positive way to show off our town. On the end of Cedar, when you're going down the hill, I don't know, because everybody was confused and people come from out of town, but people are trying to go up the hill. So the problem is that's a pretty steep hill and people are coming down as people are trying to go up, and this happened a lot last Friday. So I was looking at it, there's 2 poles at the bottom. If maybe we could put a do not enter sign down there, or a one-way sign, something to show some people that you can't go up the hill, because there's going to be an accident there.
This is for First Friday.
Well, this is just on that street anyway.
Okay.
It's at the bottom of Cedar, getting close to the parking lot. I also would like to congratulate Grundy Towers, who celebrated 45 years. Some of us had the privilege to be there, and it was a really nice celebration. It's nice to see that they're already celebrating 45 years. And, I mean, it's great. I mean, the seniors love it there, and it was an honor for me to be there. It was me, Ralph, the mayor, and I think that was it. And, yes, and then the chief, I'm sorry. Oh, and Mr. Dillon. It was a very nice celebration. I also would like to congratulate the theater. It was a beautiful affair this weekend. They celebrated 30 years. This town is just booming. It's booming, it's rocking. I've never seen so much excitement. To go down there, I couldn't picture what it was going to be like, and the tents and everything. It was beautiful. So for those of you that didn't have the opportunity to go, anything that's being done at the river, get your tickets and go, because it's beautiful. The way it's being done, it's just amazing what you could see. And it was like the river, and then we had the perfect weather, and it was just a great affair. Let me see. I'd like to see if we can get in touch with whoever's running the senior center. I'd like to sit with some of them and some of council so we can discuss some serious problems that we're having over there from the people in the neighborhood and other people. So if we can get in touch with whomever we need to schedule some kind of meeting, I would appreciate that. Also, on Otter Street, the playground, there's grass growing through the swings and stuff. So I know we take pretty good care of Otter Street playground, but there is actually grass growing through the playground. I want to thank Donna Goslin, who sent us a letter, and she will be retiring this year for 30 years of service. I'd like her to come into next week's meeting and present her with some kind of proclamation, just like we did Sharon. I think Sharon was the last one we did, and 30 years is a lot of time, and you get to know these kids, and I believe when the kids get there next year, they're going to wonder where she went, but we should acknowledge that. On another note, we have a fundraiser coming up. It's on June 19th to June 23rd. It's called All for Alyssa Strikeout Cancer Fund. We have a child in this town that has been plagued with cancer. She plays softball for 7th and 8th grade, and they're having some difficult times. So Stacy Dragon is forming this league. It's kind of like a playoff. It's $250 per team to participate, and they're looking for any donations, any baskets, anything that anybody would like to do or participate in. And if you're interested, you would call Stacy at 215-669-1599. I think this town rally is really big. Again, it's 215-669-1599. And you know how it is when our kids are in need. We always come together.
What's that date again, the dates on that?
June 19th through June 23rd.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping everybody can participate in one way or the other. Let me see. This last month, we had an election, and I'm very proud to have been part of the team that I'm on. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody who came out and supported us. And I think we did really well running a clean race, and I take pride in that. And I'd like to congratulate Lorraine, Ralph, me, and Joe for keeping it clean and doing the right thing to keep running this town forward. That's important.
It was the right thing to do.
Yes. On another note, I see the diversity in this town. I've talked to a lot of people, and this month is Gay Pride Month. I'd like us to purchase a Gay Pride flag, and I'd like us to hang it out front and recognize our community, because we do have a very diversified town, and it's only getting better and bigger. So that's really important to, I'm sure, everyone here, and I don't think anybody would object to that.
Betty, are you saying on the flagpole out here?
Thank you, Betty, for bringing that up. That's a wonderful thing.
Sure. And I think that's it, except I would like to see us try to help the staff in the borough by hiring some part-timers. And I'm sure Mr. Dillon will touch on that, or Ralph tonight. But I know that we need some part-timers to help, and we're lucky that we have the staff that we do. But it's now going to be vacation time this summer, and we have people going away, and we have people that get sick, unfortunately. And I think hiring a few part-timers will only help the asset of this town. So that's it. Thank you.
Just to jump on to what Betty said is, I usually go last, but I think in executive session, we talked about bringing in some summer help. Nobody was opposed to it. It doesn't need to be voted on. We're going to leave it up to the manager to bring some people in. If anybody's interested at home, they could put an application in. But I think Jim, whoever we have on file right now, maybe call some people in and let's see what we need to do downstairs and possibly upstairs. With all the positive things that's going on in town, and like Betty said, this town is, we feel, is on the right track and is really on fire right now with all the stuff of raising the bar and all the things that are happening in the borough. She mentioned the theaters, that it was one of the best celebrations I've been at. You're going to have the Jazz on the River coming up in June for another fundraiser. The Grundy Towers anniversary, they celebrate it. But this raising the bar with this small business revolution has just taken us to a new level. And Saturday night at the function, people were saying from Ben Salem and different places, we envy what's going on in Bristol. How do you do it? How do we? So there are some townships that we are going to set some meetings up with that really want to come in and say, what are you guys doing? How are you doing it? I mean, the town is right now probably, the hottest it's ever been. And I give a lot of credit to Bill Pezza for all his hard work and dedication with this small business revolution, all the people that voted for us. But I give credit to council too, because we are the driving force behind what goes on in this town. And, I think that we end up doing what's right, and I think it shows.
I think the model that, what we could recommend to people if they come is that you've got a civic group and you've got a government group that have decided that we're going to work together. You can't, neither entity can do it on their own. And I think both would agree that we couldn't do it without the other.
So just to give everybody a pat on the back, I want to, everybody that played a part in this over the last 16 years that I'm here, you could really start seeing it come into fruition right now. But there's a couple things I like to just say to the borough residents that, we have so much going on in town, and you still need to just take the initiative to go out and sweep your sidewalk, pull some weeds out around the tree in front of your house. Don't put trash out that's going to sit out there like this Saturday coming to the theater. There's people from all over Bucks County coming here. And, you see a couple mattresses leaning against it. Just take some pride in what's going on. I mean, it doesn't cost, we're not asking you to spend money. We're just asking you to make the front of your property look nice. Sweep it, pull some weeds around the tree, clean it up. I mean, we're doing our part and everybody's doing their part. Just chip in a little bit. The other thing I want to talk to council about and get your opinion is, you know, we talk about doing a lot of things for children and recreation and stuff like that, but the seniors that are in Grundy Towers want to go to a lot of these events and they can't get there. So I talked to them about maybe speaking to council and hiring a shuttle bus. So there's so many events a year. Now, we're not talking every event, but we're talking so many events, we would provide a shuttle from Grundy Towers to the wharf, or Grundy Towers to maybe First Friday, but I think they're more interested in what's going on down at the wharf. So I want to put on the agenda for next week to set a dollar amount aside, and hopefully we can get some funding, we can get some pricing before that. But let's say we say not to exceed $5,000, that we'll hire Bucks County Transport or somebody to go there, and I'm going to meet with them again and say, okay, here's the schedule of events. What events do you want to go to that we can take you? If it's from noon to 6 p.m. the event, maybe we'll go from 1 to 5. So, you know, we'll run that 4-hour schedule for them to go. So I'm going to make it an agenda item, spend up to $5,000 on helping the seniors through our recreation program and get something like that moving. The other thing is we had a priest that celebrated 50 years as a priest, Monsignor Joe Farrar, on May 21st. We presented him with a proclamation from the borough signed by myself and the mayor. And he did 35 years in the Navy, he's been a priest. So I don't know how you go about it, whether I got to do it or maybe the mayor has to do it, to make May 21st Monsignor Joseph Farrar Day in Bristol. So it will be put into the book. So however we got to do that, Jim, I don't know if it comes from council or is just a motion. Does it have to be voted on? I think it should, yeah. Well, I want to put that on the agenda. The other thing is, Bill said he wants to keep this. We talked in executive session, there's going to be a $6,700 fee to Bristol that I think we all agreed on, that we're going to be spending down there as part of this small business revolution for sound. So Monday night, I want to put that on the agenda, but I think we gave authorization to proceed with that, and we'll just ratify it on Monday. So that's off the table. The last two things was to do maintenance work on the wharf. We're going to try to get some people to give us some pricing on contractors for day rates, and we're going to go out to bid on the electrical work that has to get done down there, which was explained in executive session. Everybody was there, everybody knows. Dave, I could explain to you afterwards, you know, what we discussed. And the last thing I have is I'm getting texts that they're not getting sound from FiOS, so we're still having a problem, I guess, with FiOS. So Matt, I know you're listening. I don't know what the issues are, but people are having a hard time hearing the meeting that has they have FiOS. And that's it. So, Lorraine, you want to start?
Yeah, I do. First of all, Raising the Bar is doing a fundraiser for the group, and you can win $10,000 by purchasing a ticket for $100. We are only selling 200 of them. Steve, Shirley Brady, and I are taking care of it. And if you'd like to get a ticket, you can call Steve at 267-648-2073. You can do it with somebody else if you want, with your family, with a group. And like I said, it's $100 to win $10,000, and only 200 tickets are being sold. The next thing is, while I was out campaigning, I ran into a guy that told me that he had something on his bucket list that he wanted to do, and it was to go to Mill Run and sing to the seniors, and he played guitar. So I was kind of leery. I thought, oh God, I wonder if this guy can even play or sing. You know, I was kind of nervous. And so him and I go to to the Grundy Tower, and he says to them, he brings his guitar, and he starts singing for the people that were going to have him there, you know. So I was amazed at this man's voice. It was just a wonderful, soulful, incredible voice. And this woman comes from, she was in the hallway, and she comes in to where we were, and she said, "Oh my God, I thought you were a black man. You have the best voice I've ever heard." And it was just so cool. So anyway, this guy went and he did a performance for them. And he did it for nothing, and it was so awesome. Him and I, we had a great time that night, and he's going to go back. He wants to go back like once a month and do it for these people. So it was a pretty good night. There was about 40, 50 people in the room, and it was really nice.
Lorraine, did you say Mill Run or do you mean Grundy?
I meant Grundy Tower.
Okay.
I'm always thinking
That's
Mill
okay. I was like,
Run,
Mill Run?
Mill Run.
Okay.
But his name is Steve Hedgepeth, and I think he deserves to, be applauded for that. It was a great night. Also, I want to talk about the 30-year gala that was on Saturday. I know other people have spoken about it, but I think that the foresight that Len Snyder, who was a part of the Grundy Foundation, was ahead of it for a while, and it's just amazing what they have done through the years. And Susan Atkinson did a great job with the theater. Keith Baker, Bill Salerno does so much for the theater. Young Ralph DiGiuseppe, and I have to tell you, I probably had the best night of my life there. I mean, I danced from start to finish, and the food was amazing, and the celebration itself, like when we went into the theater, they had a great little show, and they did like an auction, and it was just so much fun. So the thing is, the tickets were two prices. There was an after-party ticket, and then there was a full party ticket. And anybody could have afforded to go to this party because of the two tickets. And the second ticket was the music, and there was tons of food there. So if they ever have something like this again and you hear about it, try to come. People of the town, we had a wonderful time, and I'm sure you would as well. I have a little problem with Mill Run. They're not neighbor friendly. I'm very upset about the grass. It's growing, it's like up to the waist on some spots, and I would like Mr. Dillon to give them a call, and if they do not do something about it, I'd like them to be cited like other people are, and I want us to go out and mow that lawn, because it is horrible. And it's not fair. If you're going to be next to a family, it's just not fair to the family to have grass that high. I'm sorry, and it creates rodents come in and everything. It's baloney. So I'm sick and tired of it. And my last thing is, I spoke about this last month on Farragut and on Farragut and West Circle. The island that's there, there's two broken curbs on there, one on each side. And I would just like to see if we could do something about it, maybe repair it, and that's it.
Great.
I concur about Mill Run. We've had a good relationship. We have a good relationship with them, but at this point in time, the response we usually get, it's a construction site, and we can be sympathetic to that to a point, but the grass has to be cut. It's just absurd. On that note, though, there was a zoning notice that went out to the neighborhood around Mill Run that I think may have caused a little undue angst, in that it said the types of variances that the company was going to be applying for. And one of the types was just other medical use, and I think that terminology freaks some people out a little bit. I agree that that's not great terminology, by the way. It's kind of vague. But we're going to look into it and make sure that we get confirmation that they realize and understand that their agreement is very clear about what can and cannot be in there. So I just wanted to make sure, I just wanted to ease some of the concerns of people that if anything has changed about it being a drug rehab or a psychiatric facility, it is not going to be that. And then I wanted to also reiterate, I had on my list as well what Ralph said. I think it's a little bit more apparent when the weather changes and, there's a lot more people out. But while there are so many great things happening, take pride in your neighborhood, take pride in your property. I think 97% of us are, but those 3% that don't stick out like absolute sore thumbs, and it's just, it's tough on your neighbors, and it's tough on the people that are, living next to that. And on that note, Mr. Dillon, currently, who's in charge of enforcement in situations like that with a property that is in disarray? Like, who of our inspectors? Is that a Joe Caro?
And John.
And John? I'm just curious. I don't know the answer to that at this point, because I know we had a few different people come through that.
We also handle in the office also.
Yeah.
We contact, Brittany will call, make contact with neighbors and,
I just want to kind of throw out there that there is a process, so that if people have some concerns or complaints, there are people they can reach out to. Certainly, they can reach out to their council people, and they should reach out directly here. You think is another?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then just a side note, maybe this is just a pet peeve of mine, but I would like people who smoke cigarettes to realize that when you throw your cigarette on the ground, it's littering. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just to get back to this, people putting stuff out. I think that renters, the people that own these landlords that are owning some of these when people move out, they're loading the sidewalk with an entire house full of furniture. It's not our trash company's responsibility to pick that trash up, because they're doing it because we don't want the town to look bad. But I think that we need to start getting a list of who's putting these, am I right, Tony?
Yep.
Who's putting the trash out, and start citing these people for what it's costing to pick them up. It's also guys that are contractors in this town.
Yep.
That are doing jobs, and they're taking the trash home and putting it out in front of their house or their neighbor's house and things like that, which isn't fair. If you want to be in business, dispose the trash the right way. So I think Mascara needs to get some kind of a written letter from us saying that if you're picking this kind of trash up, building material, rental units that are emptying their trash on the sidewalk, there should be a fee involved for this. Because when we put our contract out for trash, it's based on tonnage. So at the end of the year, if they're picking up an extra 5,000 or 10,000 pound of trash in that next contract, it reflects that number. So I think we need to start cracking down on some of these contractors that are putting stuff out without dumpsters or taking it to the landfill, or landlords that are just emptying the stuff and putting it on the sidewalk. And there's two other things that I forgot. One is we got a letter from the Gene Williams thanking us on behalf of the steering committee for the $10,000 donation for the grades 8 to 12. The students will be attending leadership camp sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and the community college. There's a lot going on that these kids are going to be doing. And the last thing is I'm putting on the agenda to fill all boards and commissions Monday night. So if anybody has anybody, you could bring it up Monday and we'll vote on who's going to sit on these boards and commissions for all the spots that are open. Tony, what do you got?
I have a few things. The first thing, kind of similar to Lorraine's, is I was in the North Ward, just trying to help some people out, and there was a woman there, and on her bucket list, I gave her my phone number, told her to call me. I would try to accomplish this for her. And I'm talking to her on the phone. I put her on speaker at my house, and she's asking me about how to get a handicap parking sign. And my wife walks by, and she goes, "Oh my God, I thought you were Asian."
'cause
No, I'll just try to have fun with
Oh,
that.
that's
But anyway,
that's
I thought it was good. But, Mr. Dolan, how do you go about getting a handicap parking sign?
The Borough Council has passed an ordinance,
Mhm.
and there's an application that's available in the Borough Hall.
Okay. Is that something that I could pick up and drop off to somebody?
Absolutely.
Okay. Second thing, Chief, I already told you afterwards, it'll be, I think Dave and I will both speak to you about something. Since we're talking about diversity, Betty, I know we talk about diversity, but I want to make it very clear. It's kind of what I discuss with kids in my class when we talk about reality therapy. What's real and what's talk. And we talk about diversity, Betty, but it is not diverse. Even though the town itself is diverse. But when you talk about boards and commissions and, jobs in the borough, we have a couple Puerto Rican that work in the police force. We have a council vice president who's Puerto Rican. We had one black male that was on a board and commission. I think it was the civil, I don't even know what it was. It was the
Police Commission.
yeah, the police commission. Who, Mr. Carter, he was intent on being on the police board, and what happened was he wrote a letter and he said, Betty, that he was still interested in being on that board. And we discussed this as a council, and Council President DiGiuseppe, he actually said it himself that if people are on the boards already and they want to continue to be on the boards, we would vote for them in. Do you remember this?
You can get to your point.
I'm just saying, do you remember it?
We've discussed it many times with you.
Oh, all I'm asking, you remember that, we talked about it, right? So, we discussed it, but what I'm saying is this. If we're going to talk about diversity, we have to vote that way, right? We have to bring those, up to speed with the people in the town. Whatever the percentage of African Americans we have in the town, they should be represented. The amount of Hispanics, they should be represented throughout our workforce and our boards and commissions. So just talking about it isn't doing it. That's, I just wanted to say that because you brought that up. And number 3, the sewer authority, Mr. Dillon, can we get a breakdown of the different projects that are going on? Since the beginning, since the rate hike from, I guess, 2016, and then whatever we did so far in 2017, is that something I go through you, or do I need a right to know to get that information?
You want to know the projects that have been completed and that are...
Or currently working on?
I think, why don't you just send me an email?
Okay, I could do that. What else we have? The next thing we talked about is, I like the idea that Council President DiGiuseppe brought up about over at Grundy, having those older people, the seniors there, having a bus. I think that's a great idea, for, get a chance for these seniors to get out and partake in some of the things that we do around town. I think that's a great idea, and that's something that I would fully be on board with. As far as the senior center, I don't know if you guys had me as part of talking to whatever that committee is that you're going to, but I would like to be involved with that to see what's going on, to see how we could help that community over there as well. The next question, Mr. Dillon, is there any current litigation that we're involved in right now in regards to the house that collapsed on Mulberry and Racklet Street?
Yes.
We are. Now, is our current council president also involved in that, named in that lawsuit?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Mr. DiGiuseppe, could you tell me if you are or you aren't?
As far as I know, I'm not.
Okay. All right. As far as the lawsuit, I said 2 years ago, Mr. DiGiuseppe, listen, I know you guys get upset and you want to whine and you want to make noise about things and grumble, if that's a word I just made up, but
Not really, Tony,
if
it's just
you
that,
want
it's just
to,
that
I'm
this
sorry,
is-
Betty, I
we're-
thought I had the
it's
floor,
just that
Betty.
We're
Can
supposed
we
to be
get
discussing
can we get out of
things,
order?
not personal things. We're not
Thank you.
supposed to be discussing personal things, and that's all you ever want to do.
Okay, Tony.
Betty, I'm sorry for hurting your
Nah,
feelings
whatever.
about
You
the
didn't hurt my
diversity.
feelings. Hey, honey, police, do
I'm
you
sorry.
think that he was, come on now, Tony.
I'm just-
Do you even know how many minorities we have on any of the boards? No.
Yeah.
No,
do.
you don't.
Okay, Tony.
No, you don't.
All right, so what I brought up 2 years ago was,
2 years ago.
I was bringing, it's 2 years, that's how long it took, Betty. And I'm sure if you don't keep it under control, Ralph's gonna hit that gavel and ask you to be removed. I know that's gonna happen soon.
Never.
But what I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted is that 2 years ago, I brought up something that I thought was important. I thought Mr. DiGiuseppe, who bought, a property, and he got it at a great price, no doubt about it, and then the house that he sold another gentleman was in disrepair, and it was, it was in bad shape. And I don't think that especially a contractor that has a conscience, would sell that to anybody. I don't care how much money you made. And that was the point that I was making. When he wanted to interrupt that, he didn't want me to say that. I understand that. They did a little interview on Fox 29. I'm sure he didn't want that to come out and put a bad eye on the borough. That, our council president was more concerned about making money, and profits than people in general and their health and well-being. So what he did was he sued me, right, for defamation, which was a total BS, frivolous lawsuit, which I said 2 years ago, I said it was, but that's what it was. So that way he didn't have to answer anything, it was under litigation. 2 years later, I told him, I said, listen, if in 2 years, I guarantee you're going to drop the suit, but it's going to be over, and everyone will forget. But I'm not going to forget, because that's not who I am. I'm not going to forget about it. So 2 years later, after the election, I had to get a Dragonetti letter written up, which says basically, listen, either poop or get off the pot. Either you're going to sue or you're not. You're going to say what it is, right? This is a frivolous lawsuit. So what did he do? He waits till after the election, and I appreciate it. Listen, just because he didn't graduate high school, I never said he wasn't smart, okay? Because he is. He's very smart. He waited until after the election to do it. So he drops it. So he drops the lawsuit, which is nice. But what he doesn't do is he's not going to now, the taxpayers have to foot the bill, right? So it's close to $10,000 for that lawsuit. $10,000. It costs our insurance company charges. And I have 45 pages that I copied, and I highlighted all the totals. Okay? 45 pages of them, of nonsense. 45 pages that total to $9,985. Now, wouldn't it be nice to go around and sue whoever you wanted to sue if you didn't have to foot the bill? It would be nice, because you just go around doing it. He tried it with Mrs. Cochran. Luckily, it didn't go that far. But he really wanted to shut me up. He really wanted to quiet me down. And it worked. But 2 years later, I'm telling you what I told you 2 years ago, is the reason why he was doing it was intimidation. So now we're here, and I want to put on the agenda for Monday a motion for Mr. DiGiuseppe to pay the $9,985 that cost the borough taxpayers for this frivolous lawsuit. That's all I have.
Put it in.
Yeah, put it on the agenda.
First of all, and I'm gonna get into this with you, I spent my own money for my end of the bargain. You elected to use the insurance company.
No, I didn't elect. It was,
All right,
they
Mr. Gerard,
brought it
what
to
do
me.
you have? Mr. Gerard.
Thank you. I won't be here Monday, guys, so, I'll let you know that. Okay, thank you, Ralph. Starting off, I wish to thank Mr. Dillon and Chief Henry. When I call about concerns for residents of the North Ward, I get a prompt, a courteous, and immediate response, and I wanted to publicly thank those two gentlemen. And on Election Day concerning May 16th, I want to congratulate all the candidates that ran in that election. I don't know if the average Bristolian realizes it's 4 to 6 months of hard work, a lot of talking, a lot of walking, a lot of door knocking, fundraising. So it's an effort, and to all who, whether you won or lost, I want to congratulate you for participating in that democratic process. I'd also like to thank our Judge of Elections, Bridget Callahan, and her staff. They do a great job. Bridget is an asset to Bristol Borough, and I'm glad she lives in the North Ward. Competition. Competition makes you smarter. For example, when you're in grade school, the teacher used to line us up, and we'd have that spelling bee. And the last thing that you want to happen to you was to go down in the first round, because there you are sitting there, and the rest of your classmates are staring at you, and you know what they're thinking about you. So competition makes you smarter, because you went home that night and you studied, and you made sure that never happened to you again. And as you got older and you got into sports, competition made you stronger. And by that I mean you're going against guys that are faster and stronger than you. So what do? You go home, you lift weights, you run, you become strong. You don't want to sit on the bench on the big game. You want to be in the big game. And as you get older and you're trying to support your family and running a business, there's competition on the job, the construction sites. So you go home and you sharpen your pencil. So competition makes everybody think about what they're doing, okay? And the reason I'm talking about competition is because after May 16th, the primary, the Committee to Secure Bristol's Future secured such a victory that on the council level, in my personal opinion, there is no longer any competition in Bristol Borough. So someone from the committee will be running this council for the foreseeable future. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but time will tell.
Well, you see, basically, I think the town's doing good under this leadership.
Well, like I said, competition is a good
Everybody
thing.
spoke.
I don't think there is
I think
any
everybody
more
in town
competition.
spoke what direction they wanted to go in,
Yeah,
so I appreciate
absolutely,
it.
Ralph, I agree with you.
All right.
I'm just saying it was a complete victory. I can't see anybody beating anybody from the Committee to Secure Bristol Future in the foreseeable future. That's just my personal opinion. It's my observation. I'm going to be here for another 4.5 years, and we'll see what happens. Okay? Thank you. I'm not done yet, though. I thought that Bernard gave a great presentation last month. The thing that struck me was the 100 jobs. As we know, Keystone Lighting is going to be closing their doors. 140 jobs are going to be lost. Bernard is talking about saving 100 jobs. These people eat breakfast in Bristol, lunches, dinners. Our saying in Bristol is live in Bristol, work in Bristol, play in Bristol. So I hope all the council gets together there. There's got to be a solution that we can come to on this, and I hope that we can keep these 100 jobs in here and help Bernard out. Okay. Let's see, finally there, last November, we're knitting buttonholes there with the budget. I know Mr. Dillon was concerned, and it seems like we're doing much better. in 6 months later, and if Mr. Dillon or Mr. DiGiuseppe could give me a little bit more information on why this seems to be a good time for the borough, I would appreciate that.
I'm not
And that's all I
prepared
got
to
to say.
I'm really not prepared to speak on a budget tonight, Dave.
Okay.
You
Well,
wanna
we are doing
discuss-
much better
You want
than
to
that.
discuss it at the next work session? We'll take out our budgets, and I think everything's going great.
Good. All right, thank you.
Okay, on May 17th, the Bucks County Commissioners held a town hall meeting at the Bristol Riverside Theater. They honored Bill Pezza and the Raising the Bar group for facilitating the small business revolution and for all the successes that are going on in town right now. And it was a very successful meeting. They were very impressed with the borough. We had a walk around with them after the meeting, and during the meeting, Charlie Martin, one of the commissioners, said that Bristol should be an example for the other boroughs in the county, and he named quite a few of them. And he said they should follow what the cooperation of federal, state, and county participation, along with the private and public sector, has done for Bristol. And I think that says a lot for our town. I don't think we would have gotten those kind of remarks years ago. Maybe we deserved those remarks, but I don't think the other people knew what we had here in town. So it was very nice. It was well attended. The borough presented the county with a plaque for recognizing them for all their help. And when a fellow from the county that was sitting behind me said, he said, this is really a nice thing that you did. He said, usually these guys only get complaints when they come to a meeting. He said, here they got honored, and I think it was well received on their part.
That's a fair.
Again, the gala this weekend that honored Keith Baker, who's a resident here in the borough and who's been the artistic director for 25 years, was just fantastic. But something the theater did that I thought was very nice, they are going to present a Leonard Snyder Philanthropic Award on an annual basis. And they kicked it off by giving it to the Grundy Foundation. Because when you talk about philanthropy,
Right.
they are that's the high water mark. And I was glad that they recognized them, and it was a great evening. On the letter we got for stormwater management, and the fellow from the state says that, we're built out, there's very little impervious surface left, and stormwater runoff without control, and urban runoff is identified as a big problem, and a source for the problems at Mill Creek and Silver Lake, the impairment there with the sedimentation. I think maybe we should inform him that we're downstream from both those areas. So he ought to look upstream for the people that are sending the sediment down, and and that's the problem. We're faced with issues because of that. But I just thought it was strange that he would tag us for the problems there. So maybe we could follow up with them. The other thing is
Is your microphone off? Because they're having now I'm getting texts, nobody has sound.
It's on. Man, mine's on. It's blinking anyway.
Matt? Murray, you want to find out what's going on? There's no sound. Does anybody have Verizon that texted me earlier? Can you hear?
Comcast went dead after
Comcast is
Verizon
dead.
went on, they said. That's what, somebody texted me and said they couldn't hear a thing.
Matt,
you
should
were
we
saying.
just keep going and then they'll hear this later?
Yeah.
No sound at all, they're saying. And there was no sound when I was on either. So I want to talk again.
Nobody listens to me anyway.
We could all just.
Just keep talking.
Pantomime.
Okay, Lily.
Okay.
I have a theory.
They're saying
That's what
they're
they're all
saying it's on. Go ahead.
One of the issues with some of, and it's not our inspection department's fault, is I know we've had a couple properties in our ward that annually you're going with the same complaints every year, and they're being cited, and I just think we need to follow up either, I don't know whether they're not getting fined enough when we get to the district justice level or the county level, but I think with some of these problems, it's almost like the dog case that we had where, the woman had 35 citations, and I'm sure, I would bet she didn't pay all 35 citations. So I think this problem is sometimes, we take it to court, but maybe we have to start pressing a little further on some of this stuff. And the last thing on the agenda I would like to put on is to honor the St. Mark's CYO 4x100 relay team that won the first prize at Penn Relay. They won the wheel, which is quite an honor. I understand that, I know we haven't been in that position in the borough at the parochial or public schools before, so.
Awesome.
I'd like to have them honored next week if we could. That's all. Thank you.
Tony?
I know Aqua is working on the, increasing the size of the pipe coming from the Walnut Street, going down Wood Street, down into the parking lot. I think there was some issue with an 8-inch pipe lateral going next to that. Are they going to continue doing any work? Or?
The existing water main that services the properties kept breaking, so it's an old line, so Aqua will be in shortly to get a permit to replace that existing main from Mill Street to Walnut Street.
Are they repaving afterwards like they did?
They will
everything?
repave afterwards.
Okay.
So, and that will involve new service lines to all the properties also.
Okay, I just noticed that the streets haven't been repaved. I know there was an email that had gone out.
They paved like Old 13 and down in the parking lot, all that, but this stretch, they've decided that the main is so old that it needs to be replaced.
Okay.
So.
I got several complaints for 158 Buckley Street. I think the house is vacant, and it's just, I walked over there. I don't know if it's in the foreclosure process or whatever, but anyway, it's in very bad shape. Part of the structure in the back looks like it's kind of leaning away from the main structure of the house. I don't know if we got somebody take a look at it, and the neighbor next door is afraid that if you look at the back of the house, some of it's pulling away, and their house is attached. So they're afraid that, there could be some collapse issue going towards their house.
This
And
is
then,
158
Yes, sir.
what street?
Buckley.
Otter.
No, Buckley.
Buckley.
Buckley. And I know we've been out there in the past. There's a lot going on there. And also, I just wanted to know, the president's infrastructure, I don't know what he's putting money out there for infrastructure. Is there something we could apply for? Is there something that we could, I don't know. I mean, I know he's putting money going out to the states, federal money for infrastructure.
We're waiting to hear the details. We certainly try to have projects as much online and ready to go if funds become available.
Thank you. And just lastly, just to touch on what Dave said, if we could set up a meeting with Bernard to address the Canal Works parking, if we could do something to help him out. I'm up there all the time, and there's people that are sometimes double, triple parked, I guess, if you will, in there. It's only one, you can only get one car down there. It's not a two-way street during certain times of the day. And sometimes there's a FedEx truck parked there, and
For the record, since it's been brought up twice now, the Recreation Authority had it on their agenda for him to come in and meet with them. He begged off because there was a death
Okay.
in the family, so it was postponed. The authority asked that I send him an email to meet with them in special committee so they don't have to wait and waste a month. So that email was sent out to him last week, asking him what times would be good for him to meet, and he's not responded. So maybe somebody should ask him.
I wasn't aware, by the way.
Well, it's been brought up. We've been trying to be cooperative too, so.
Yep, yep. No, I wasn't suggesting that we weren't.
No, I just want to make sure everybody knows,
Gotcha.
the
All right.
authority is trying to stand on their heads.
Thank you. Thank you, that's all I have, thank you.
Right, Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a couple things I'd like to talk about. It's been a busy month for us. I met on the 30th of May with the Fire Board, which is all the fire chiefs and Chief Slack. Talked about various items. One was the fire on 236 Otter Street and some of the challenges that were faced by the firemen. Also, too, again, I'll put out that note that during the day, we may be a little bit limited in the number of volunteer firemen we have. If you're thinking about getting involved in your community, would be a great thing to become involved with the fire companies. You don't always have to be a firefighter. There are a lot of other jobs within the fire department that can be done by a lot of different people of all ages. So I put that back out there. Also, the rescue squad was a part of that meeting. Let's see, committee reports. Chief Slack again reiterated that we don't have any CO detectors, but we do have smoke detectors, and to contact his office about having the smoke detectors put in if you need one. And they've also applied for another federal grant for the CO detectors. Our EMA coordinator, Merle Winslow, is working along with the EMA coordinator from Burlington with the new docks going in and trying to coordinate and get some information relative to how they can assist us if we have a problem out on the docks, being as they're probably the closest Marine unit to us. Also talked about, the fire chiefs talked about some different pre-plans that they'll be doing for different buildings in town, which are, how they'll respond, where they'll place fire trucks and so forth. Training is still ongoing every Wednesday night in the borough for the volunteer firemen. Let's see. Also, too, on June 14th, there's going to be a special training by Dr. Overberger from Einstein Medical Group concerning crush injuries. And I think that's about it with the fire department. Also, too, I have a question for Mr. Dillon. Has the local elk club reached out to you possibly about their Flag Day ceremony on the 11th? They generally have it at Lions Park. One of the reasons I ask, I know I've been invited to be a speaker. So, with all the equipment that's there, I think they probably could still have it there, just would have to be on the other side.
I think we signed off on that, Joe.
Okay.
They did ask if you can, I'll check tomorrow or touch base.
Okay.
Sure, it's the Flag Day. Right?
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see, we had their graduation for St. Mark's and also for Snyder Girardi. Snyder Girardi, we had 150 kids graduate in the DARE program, which I think was outstanding. And I would tell you that I'll say 90% of the parents were there also. So, we had probably close to 350 people at that DARE graduation, which I thought was outstanding. Let's see. June the 11th, I see our former mayor, Gary Tosty's here tonight out there in the audience. So I give him a shout out. They kick off the summer concert series for the Lions Club on June the 11th, starring Gary and Joanna. So, I think it's the 45th annual summer concert series that the Lions put on every Sunday, free for everybody in town. Jazz on the River, as a couple people have stated, June 23rd. King George Inn is the sponsor, the only sponsor. They pick up all the cost, and they donate all the money back to the Advisory and Oversight Committee, the AOC, which goes to the after-school programs that we currently do at Snyder Girardi, the high school, and then also in coordination with the borough on the summer program. And let's see. In my position as mayor, I've been contacted by, I used to belong, when I was a mayor previously, I belonged to a loosely structured group of 12 mayors from Bucks County who used to meet twice a year and just talk about what's going on. They've reached out to me and asked me to host the mayor's luncheon. So I'm going to be doing a mayor's luncheon on the 13th of June at the King George Inn, meeting with mayors of New Hope, Langhorne, Morrisville, Yardley, and some other, just to sit down and talk about what's going on in their communities, and also all the great things. They really want to talk about Bristol, just as Mr. Quattrochi pointed out at the commissioners' meeting that I think it was Lynn Bush of the County Planning Commission said that they're using Bristol as a model for a lot of their planning, because they're, of all the things that we've implemented over the years, and they've been actively involved in. Going into the police department, also too, I know there's been a couple of requests tonight to meet with the chief. Going forward, I'd like to be a part of those meetings if you have no objections, just to keep me apprised of what's going on. Police department, 7 officers attended the police memorial service in Newtown this month. Our vehicles, the new vehicles, I'm sure you've all seen them, cars 6 and 7 are now in service. They have new lettering on them. We have another car that will be getting that new lettering on it. We're moving our computers into the 21st century. We're just about ready to get rid of the last 2 XP computers that we have, which are not supported by anybody. So we'll be purchasing 2 of those. Youth aid panel is up and running again, thanks to Sergeant Rivera. He's coordinating the event and held a session Wednesday evening, which addressed 6 cases. 2 of our officers participated in the Elks Bike Safety Rodeo. And I think, one last thing. The chief and I are looking at a couple different grants that are available from the federal government. One's on community policing, and there's a couple other ones we're going to look at, but we have to complete our application. I think at the latest is July 23rd. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Ralph, please, real quick.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, concerning the police cars, the Courier had a really good article concerning the police cars. I don't know if everybody saw it. The Ford Fusion, it's an electric gas car. Each car saves annually on the gas. It was estimated at $3,500 per year on the gas charges. What happened? It's idled on things. But when the police officers need to chase somebody, it revs up to a super car, and all of New York went with it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Is it battery or electric?
I'm not sure what it was. I didn't read the article.
Probably battery.
It's
So
battery.
we have
But
that
it has
car.
the gas engine for pursuit. They were real pleased with it up in New York, and supposed to save a ton of money, and
It does.
when you need it, it's there.
But how about to get it fixed? Where can you bring it to get, can't bring, go to the Hartman?
I don't know, they were just all
Take
talking
mine
about
right
the
to the
savings
key,
of the
please.
gas.
It's
So,
fixed.
I mean, I don't know.
The only issue I
Just
saw.
just a thought.
Rule number 1, never be the prototype.
Well, New York's doing them,
Let's,
Steve,
yeah,
so.
we'll talk about it a year from now after the debate, I gotta see how it goes.
Just thought it was interesting.
It's a lot smaller than our cars too.
Is that it, Dave?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
2, Jim, you have anything?
A couple, just a few things, yes. Ratify the pier and dock change orders, that's on your work session agenda. That would be on for Monday evening, as well as the wharf sound system of $6,676. Authorize the purchase of 1014 Chestnut Street will be on your agenda for a resolution in the amount of $47,500. We've also received 2 bids for 2 used police vehicles on municipal bid, and we'll have that listed on your agenda. And I think that's all I have at the moment. Also, I'm sorry, Dave, authorize the approval of appraisal for a vacant parcel of ground on Garden Street, which is tax parcel map number 413114. So that's, was part of a zoning hearing board case. It's recommended that council authorize that appraisal.
And the other thing I want to put on the agenda, and I thought the chief or mayor would, I don't know where he's want to go with this, is the hiring of this part-time cop.
I thought Jim, we had sent the letter, I thought he was going to
So
have it
let's
under
put
his.
that on the agenda, chief, and then.
Absolutely.
I thought that was part of your part-time conversation.
It is, but we still got to hire him.
Yes, we
We're going to add
requested.
it to the agenda.
So we'll add that to the agenda, and I just want to mention that, we had the opportunity to go to Fred Baumgarten's, who took the powerhouse down and redid the parking lot, and the site is finally done and cleaned, and he did an outstanding job. And former Mayor Tolste's here this evening. Would you like to say anything, or are you just coming for the?
You guys are doing a great job. I don't get you on TV where I'm at, but I want to see you folks in person. Quite impressive. Great job.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming up.
I have
Did I adjourn this meeting, or what's going
No,
on?
can I just, does anybody need a permit to have a yard sale in front of their house? Somebody else? No? Okay, and I also wanted to mention, and I forgot, and I'm sorry, I'll make it really quick. We met with Jamie from A Woman's Place, and October is National Domestic Violence Awareness, and last year, if you were aware, we hung the purple ribbons all through town, and a week later, or a month later, we took them down. That's something we're going to be doing again in October, and we're also looking into having a visual at the river. So when it gets closer to time, I'll let everybody know what's going on. Okay? Sorry about that.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second by Mr. Ricchio, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Yeah, it's not too bad.